Hello everyone, my name is Braden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video we are going to take a quick look at the Grave Domain Cleric, or at least the revised version that appears in the Horror Subclasses document for Unearthed Arcana. This is currently up on Dungeons and Dragons, D&D Beyond. So if you are interested in looking at this, feel free to go there and take a look at it yourself. There's currently a survey up in which you can leave your feedback on this subclass as well as the others in this document. So go ahead and fill that out if you have not done so already, so you can let them know your thoughts. I believe it is up until tomorrow, so, or at least at the recording of this video. So get to it if you haven't done so already. But we're going to start off real quick. This is just giving us a brief summary of the Grave Domain Cleric. So, Cleric Grave Domain embody deific forces of death. The Grave Domain concerns itself with the boundary between life and death. To those who tap into this domain's power, death is a foundational, natural, and inevitable part of the multiverse. Such clerics seek to destroy undeath and strive to shepherd spirits to the afterlife, whether those spirits want to go or not. The magic of this domain also allows these clerics to stave off death for a time, particularly for those who still have some great work to accomplish in the world. But this is merely a delay of death, not a denial of it, for the grave will always claim its due. Quite like the flavor text on this particular feature. Or this. So let's go ahead and start getting to the features, because there are quite a few things to mention. All right, so first off, at level 3, we get Circle of Mortality. This says that you gain the ability to manipulate the balance between life and death, granting you the following benefits. Pole of Death. This is a new benefit here. This says that once per turn, when you cast a spell or hit with an attack roll and deal damage to a bloodied creature, that creature takes an extra 1d4 necrotic damage. Now, this isn't significant amount of damage, but it does proc every time we attack a bloodied creature, so this is going to happen pretty often, probably. So, I mean, this is kind of just a ribbon feature, but at least it's something that does occur quite often, considering it's for bloodied creatures. But we do have something pretty similar to what we've had before, and the next benefit is called Return to Life. When you would normally roll 1 or more dice to restore hit points to a creature at 0 hit points with a spell or channel divinity, don't roll those dice for the healing. Instead, use the highest number possible for each die. For example, instead of restoring 2d4 hit points to a creature at 0 hit points with the spell, you restore 8. This is pretty similar to the life domains feature, except that there's a stipulation that the creature needs to be at 0 hit points to gain the full benefit of this healing. This is also pretty similar to what was already present in the Grave Domain Cleric, so they've kept the base functionality of this feature, so that's quite nice to see. And honestly, this was always pretty potent. I would maybe prefer if this also referred to the creature being bloodied, potentially. But granted, the feature that the Life Domain Cleric gets is at level 17, so this is probably fine. And this is only the first feature that we get at level 3, so let's see what else that they get. But I believe that these two benefits right now are decent enough for this to be an interesting option for Cleric. All right, also at level 3, we get Grave Domain spells. These are spells that we always have prepared, granted, as long as we are the Cleric level described in the table below. So at level 3, we will always have the Bane, Chill Touch, Detect Evil and Good, Jump to Repose, and Ray of Enfeeblement spells prepared. These are all decent. I think the main good ones out of here are going to be Bane and Ray of Enfeeblement. A Chill Touch is a decent cantrip, but granted, it is only a touch attack spell now, so not crazy, but it is a D10 damage, so this may be something that you get use out of, especially if you're not playing a martial-based cleric, which you don't have to for this particular domain. At 5th level, we're going to get Revivify and Vampiric Touch. Revivify, pretty decent revival spell, and Vampiric Touch does decent enough damage. It's really the healing attached to it that is the main benefit of that spell, so it makes sense to see it on here. But at 7th level, we get Blight, and this says Dispel Evil and Good, but that is a 5th level spell, so I am pretty positive that that is a typo. So please take that with a grain of salt. I believe this is probably going to be Death Ward, which is what was the spell here beforehand. So I really think this is just a typo. But Blight, pretty decent damaging spell, so that's a good one. And then at 9th level, they have Hold Monster and Raise Dead. Both fairly decent spells. Hold Monster especially, but Raise Dead, pretty good option, especially when Revivify is not useful. So this isn't the best spell list, but there are some decent options here, so not gonna harp on it too much, but yeah, we do get some decent options here, so happy to see that we still have always prepared spells, especially since these are always prepared. Not gonna complain about them either. All right, at level 3 as well, we get Path to the Grave. This says that as a bonus action, you present your holy symbol and expend a use of your channel divinity to curse one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself until the start of your next turn. While cursed, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. That's a pretty good benefit. But there's more to this as well. When you or an ally you can see hits the cursed creature or the cursed target with an attack roll, you can end the curse early, no action required, to make the attack deal extra necrotic or radiant damage, your choice, equal to 1d8 plus your cleric level. So beforehand, this feature made a target vulnerable to the damage or the next damage that was dealt to it. So they have changed this feature quite a bit. However, I do think that this functions a lot better mechanically. Vulnerability was, I mean, it was easy to calculate, but it was weird giving a creature vulnerability. So I do like that this is kind of a two benefit effect. The first off is that you curse the creature and that they gain disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. That's a pretty decent detriment. Disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws is going to make things that you do easier on the target, and is going to make it harder for them to effectively damage you and your allies. But if this curse isn't giving you a decent functionality, or you know that you're getting to the end of the curse and you want to send it off with a bang, you can cause the curse to end and then deal additional damage equal to 1d8 plus your cleric level, which isn't a lot at level 3, but as you gain levels in your class, this is gonna be a pretty decent bonus. So overall, I really like the changes to Path of the Grave. I feel like the benefits from it are very nice, and I can see this being something that the Grave Domain Cleric wants to use fairly often, considering the benefits that you get out of it. If they wanted to make this even better, they could increase the duration of the curse, but I feel like as it is, this is pretty good. So quite happy with what they've done to this particular feature in general. All right, at level 6, we get Sentinel at Death's Door. This feature has also changed quite considerably. So when you or a bloodied creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself is hit with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to halve that attack's damage. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Alright, so beforehand, what this feature used to do was it negated critical hits. So if a target that you could see within 30 feet was damaged by a critical hit, what you could do is you could change that hit into a normal hit. So what they have done effectively here is they've changed the usage or the trigger of this feature, and I think it's something that you're going to be able to use a little bit more often because of that, which I quite like. Because first off, you can use this on yourself or a bloody creature that you can see within 30 feet. So you yourself do not need to be bloodied in order to use this feature on yourself, which I think is a big selling point here. But if you're going to be using this, you're probably going to want to be using it on allies that are bloodied, because you know that they are going to be really hurt by an attack that hits them. So I feel like the functionality of this feature is very, very good now. And we have a decent number of uses since Wisdom is our main ability score that we're going to be focusing on. So I think this works pretty well. This is basically a restrictive uncanny dodge that you can also use on your allies. So I think this is a very nice feature, and I see this being used pretty much every combat. And yeah, I just really like the functionality of this and think it's going to be very useful for the cleric to want to use it often as possible. All right, and then finally we get to our capstone feature at level 17. This is called Divine Reaper. So your deep connection to this domain renders you a hallowed harbinger of death, granting you the following benefits. The first of these benefits is enhanced necromancy. When you cast a spell of level 5 or lower from the necromancy school that targets one creature, or a spell from the grave domain spells table, you can expend a use of your channel divinity to target a second creature within the spell's range. If the spell requires costly or consumed material components, you must provide material components for each target. So this is an entirely new benefit that the cleric did not get beforehand. So this is a new feature, and I quite like the functionality of this. This kind of pulls a little bit of what the Death Domain Cleric could do, granted it is at a later level, but it does function on level 5 or lower spells, as long as they are from the Necromancy School or from a spell that you cast from the Grave Domain Spells table. So idealistically, you're going to be using this on pretty potent spells, and this is basically allowing you to twin a pretty potent spell, and you just need to expend a use of your channel divinity. So I think this is pretty great, but this isn't the only thing that we get here at level 17. We also get Keeper of Souls. When an enemy dies within 60 feet of you, you or one creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself regains hit points equal to 3 times your cleric level. You can't use this feature if you have the incapacitated condition. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So they did make a very nice change to this particular benefit, and that was, I believe, this feature required you to use a reaction to use. So that's been completely removed there. And now I think the healing itself is even better than before. So yeah, this is a pretty decent benefit. And I mean, 3 times your cleric level healing, that's almost 60 hit points. It's going to get there eventually if you get to level 20, but yeah, it's a lot of healing, and it's not a reaction or anything to you. So this is just something that you can have happen when an enemy dies within 60 feet of you. So yeah, that's very good. I feel like this is a very decent feature, and you can use it often enough to where it's going to come up pretty often, considering you just have to take a short rest to use it again. So as long as you're taking short rests in between combats, this is gonna be a pretty good feature to have in your back pocket, especially if you need some emergency healing. So yeah, quite happy with this particular feature, and like that they've added some additional benefit here, especially since it's the capstone of the Grave Domain. So, I mean, yeah, overall, I quite like the changes that they made to the Grave Domain Cleric. I feel like these features function a lot better and a lot healthier for the game. The Grave Domain beforehand was almost the go-to pick because the benefits from it were just crazy powerful. And I still feel like what they have done, these are still pretty potent abilities, but they are a lot more balanced than they were beforehand. But they're still very beneficial to have in your repertoire when you're playing this particular character. So overall, I really like the changes that they made here. Let me know if you agree in the comments, or let me know what your particular thoughts are if you disagree. Just looking forward to what everyone thinks on this particular subclass. But yeah, that's going to be it for this particular video. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and give it a like if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. I mean, currently we're going through every creature in the monster manual, so keep an eye out for those videos if you're interested in monsters. But yeah, that's going to be it for this particular video. So thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. See you later.